Political turmoil in Burkina Faso over the past year has taken a toll on the economy. The transitional government is reporting nearly $70 million in losses in the 10 days that followed a short-lived coup by members of the presidential guard early this month. While the crisis shut businesses and workers went on strike, Emilie reports on what a return to political stability can do for the country's economic recovery.
This market in Burkina Faso's capital city, Ouagadougou, is buzzing with activity again after recovering from a failed coup earlier in September that paralyzed the activity for more than a week. Ibrahim Ouadreogo is a hawker and says during the coup he could not work.
We couldn't go out to sell because soldiers were in the streets, so we couldn't go out of our homes.
The country's borders were closed for a few days. A lot of workers went on strike to protest the coup. Hélène Traoré-Sanou works at a cotton company. Burkina Faso is the top cotton producer in Africa, and cotton is a heavyweight in the country's economy. Traoré says her business has not been affected by the recent crisis, but it will be if there is unrest during the upcoming presidential elections, which are due to happen later this year.
Nous avons près de 900 camions.
We have close to 900 trucks driving around the country to fetch the cotton, so we really need the roads to be functional in order to get the cotton to our factory.
This is the latest political crisis in months of turmoil in the West African nation. 1 year ago, massive protests ousted President Blaise Compaoré after 27 years in power. A transitional government was put in place in order to organize elections. Fiscal lawyer Daouda Diallo says these political changes have affected the trust investors had in Burkina and that upcoming elections are crucial.
New authorities will have to give some sort of guarantee to the international community, not only to help them decide to bring funds to Burkina Faso, but also to attract investors in order to take charge of the country's economy again.
Earlier this year, the IMF projected a 5% growth for Burkina in 2015, 2 points below previous projections. Emilie for VOA News from Ouagadougou.
Now, Burkina Faso's interim president, Michel Kafando, visited the recaptured barracks on Wednesday that were held by coup leader General Gilbert Diendérè's forces. Burkina Faso's government says it had started negotiations to persuade the leader of a short-lived coup to surrender after he took refuge in the Vatican's compound in the capital. For more on the situation in Burkina Faso, I'm joined by Bagassi Koura, a reporter with VOA's French to Africa service and a native of Burkina Faso. Bagassi, welcome to Africa 54.
Hi.
Yes. Now, tell me first, what is the situation like in Bangui as we speak right now?
In Ouagadougou.
In Ouagadougou,
yeah.
Mixed up now, all these
things.
Yeah,
a couple of minutes ago we heard that finally General Diendérè has been arrested. Yeah. He has been handed over by the Vatican embassy to the transitional authorities, and right now he's in custody in Ouagadougou.
Okay, and he had actually offered to surrender, like, of course, they didn't have much option.
They've been having negotiations since he ran over there on Tuesday night, and I think Vatican wanted to make sure his right will be respected.
Yes.
They were also assured by the fact that the country recently abolished the death penalty. Mm-hmm. That was a key thing for the Vatican, and I think these are the elements that motivated them to hand him over.
Yeah. Now, President Kafando said that, during this confrontation between the army and the presidential guards at this particular camp, nobody died.
Nobody died, yeah.
Yes. So what have you heard from the people who may have been closer there? Is that the accurate report?
It looked like it's accurate because, a lot of people are asking questions, how is that possible after all these heavy gunfire, on Tuesday night, and everybody was afraid, staying at home. And according to what we have been hearing, a couple of hundred of soldiers were still in the camp. Some talked about some families still living in there. Mm-hmm. And so it was a surprise, maybe a good surprise that nobody died.
Now, what's the fate of the other soldiers? We know Diendérè has been detained.
Yeah.
What about the others?
We learned today from the army that 60% of the 1,300 RSP, the security presidential guards, 60% of them have surrendered, are now with the national army. And so there are still some who are in the loose, and hopefully they give them until the end of the day because they have been affected to different camps across the country.
Yeah.
They gave them until the end of this Friday for everybody to get to a new base. If they don't, then they will be looked after.
Yes. In terms of the political situation in the country, we know that the Presidential Guard claimed they were staging this coup because of the exclusion of members of the former government in the elections that are upcoming. First, what is the possibility that the elections are going to take place smoothly?
I think the election is going to take place soon because yesterday the U.S. Embassy in Ouagadougou urged the government to give a new date as soon as possible of the election. Same thing with the French Embassy. The European Union also pressed the transitional government to organize election as soon as possible. And these are the country funding the election. So I think President Kafando said they will be meeting in a couple of days with political leaders, with civil society. Together they will decide a date, and it will likely be in November.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the supporters of Compaoré, the former president, was that a general feeling in the population, or was this just a frustration of the Presidential Guard?
Okay, here's what we need to know. With the arrest of a general today, it's like the end of an era, because Compaoré, we know, left back in November 2004, but his armed wing, which is the RSP, stayed behind and was kind of the elephant in the room. All the reform that the transitional government was trying to do were in some way targeting them, because there was a lot of judicial cases dating back to 15 years that involved Presidential Guard members, and no one could dare challenge them or call them to court. And because today general has been arrested, the camp has been dismantled, and probably, the judicial system can start moving. And the Compaoré's party, Compaoré's political partners are really isolated today, because some people were hearing what they were saying for being excluded, but because the cause has been defended by the coup leaders, it makes them really look bad, and it's really hard for people to feel sorry for them today.
Sure. We hope for peace in that country. Bagassi, thank you very much for your insights.
Thanks.
Well, Bagassi Koura is a reporter with VOA's French to Africa service.